It being 7:30, I'm calling the legislative session of Swarthmore Borough Council of December 17, 2018 into order. First order of business is a roll call. I see every member of council is present. And we have our Mayor, Tim Carney, Borough Solicitor Bob Scott, and Borough Manager Jane Billings with us as well. This is a legislative session, so we'll have one public comment period, and that is now. So if there's anyone in the public that would care to address council on any matter whatsoever, please come forward.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Alan Prindle. I live on 329 Haverford Place, and I'm a fairly new resident in Swarthmore, but I'm interested in the environmental committee and have attended that. I'm coming today to show support for the cap and trade proposal that you're going to be talking about. We moved here to be with our grandparents or grandchildren and to be the best grandparents that we can. And I think this proposal is about future generations. And so I ask for your strength and your leadership in support for this petition, and future generations will congratulate you for this leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who cares to review? Yes, sir.
Rick, you go ahead. Okay. Age before beauty.
Community Council, Rick Lee, President of the Fire Company. I just wanted to thank the community for coming out to support our Christmas tree sales. Unfortunately, we were made aware prior to starting this year that there was a nationwide Christmas tree shortage, and our wholesaler made us aware of that. And sure enough, after getting our first delivery of a couple hundred trees, our next delivery of a couple hundred trees, and we expected this past Thursday to get 2 more 100 trees, we got none. So we ended up selling our last trees Saturday morning, and unfortunately, there are plenty of residents that usually come this weekend and this coming weekend for trees, and we are cleaned up and done, and we are not able to get any more trees. There are still some trees at different stands using different wholesalers, and we'll be looking into that for next year. But we want to thank everybody and apologize for the shortage. Not something that we had planned on, but we did our best this year. So thank you all.
Thank you, Rick.
It's still being advertised
Oh.
on the radio.
Phil Coleman, 723 Yale, not quite as tall as Rick. I just want to reinforce the comments of Alan. I should also say that I'm a co-founder and president of a local environmental group, afewsteps.org. I wanted to say that, thought about it on the way over, the sort of cat got let out of the bag on climate change 30 years ago this year, 1988. Primarily in the U.S. by NASA and a guy named James Hansen. It's a pretty interesting history, but the fossil fuel industry has essentially spent 30 years and tens of millions of dollars, and this is very well documented, trying to convince the American public that this is not a sort of imminent catastrophe. And this year a bunch of reports have come out. Maybe some of you have heard of some of them on the news. I can really sum them up in one sentence, which is that it's 5 minutes before midnight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that would care to address council at this time? If not, I'm calling the public comment period to a close. We have a fairly busy agenda this evening, so I'm going to try to move through it quickly as we can, but we do have some things to consider. First of all are the minutes of the November 13th, 2018 council meeting and the December 4th, 2018 council meeting. I'd like to consider those together if I could. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or corrections or amendments or anything like that for the minutes? If not, let's have a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as drafted, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is consideration of council's 2019 meeting schedule. Did everyone get a copy of that? Everyone have a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the 2019 council meeting schedule?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The schedule is approved. Next up, consideration of the 2019 holiday schedule. These are the days on which the borough offices and the Public Works Department will be non-operative, they'll just be closed. Could I have a motion to approve the 2019 holiday schedule? Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The holiday schedule is approved. Next, we have consideration of a few other resolutions. The first is Resolution 2018-10, which sets the fees, charges, and fines for 2019. Is there a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just note that we discussed it last week in some depth, so.
We did. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution 2018-10 has been adopted. Next, we have Resolution 2018-11, which sets salaries and benefits for borough employees, non-uniformed borough employees for 2019. Is there a motion to approve resolution or to adopt Resolution 2018-11?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We discussed it last week. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of adopting Resolution 2018-11, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. One final resolution, and this is sort of a bittersweet one. This is a resolution in honor of David Patterson upon his retirement from the borough. Whereas Dave has been an employee of the Swarthmore Public Works Department for over 32 years, making him the longest tenured member of the department, and whereas he is instantaneously recognized around town in all seasons as the borough guy in the blue overalls, and whereas he was a critical member of the team that survived the blizzards of '93 and '96, with many other storms before and after, and whereas he has unclogged countless sewers, vacuumed endless piles of leaves, collected tons of paper, cans, and glass for recycling, painted miles of crosswalks, filled innumerable potholes, and mowed acres of borough parkland, and whereas he enjoys the company of his fellow public works team, including morning breakfasts at the shop, Thursday lunches, vacations at Disney World, it's in good company, and camping across Pennsylvania, and whereas he is an avid dog lover, his most recent addition being a stray golden retriever rescued from York, Pennsylvania, who has now happily joined the two other Patterson family Goldens. And whereas he enjoys both home and vacation time with his wife, children, and grandchildren, now therefore be it resolved that as of his retirement, Dave will be found sitting by the fireplace with his dogs, watching it snow. Passed and approved the 17th day of December, 2018. I'd like a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Could there be any discussion?
Just that we give our hearty thanks. Dave couldn't be here tonight, but he may be watching on TV. Dave, we thank you for all these years of service.
Hear, hear. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution in honor of David Patterson upon his retirement has been adopted. Okay, Lauren, Environment
Okay,
Committee.
great, all right. I guess I'll just make the motion and then we'll see if there's any discussion. I'd like to make a motion that Swarthmore sign the cap and trade rulemaking petition. Any seconds?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
we discussed this pretty extensively
Yeah, yeah.
in previous meetings,
Yeah.
and we had the benefit of Phil Coleman's insight and insight of the gentleman this evening, so that's great. If there's no further discussion, let's have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the borough will sign on to the cap and trade petition.
And I'd like to add something. I just want to say how I'm really glad that Swarthmore is an environmental leader. I think people look to us to do that. I think the cap and trade is a creative incentive for businesses to reduce their carbon. And I'm glad that we're signing this. And I also want to thank the EAC for their tireless work, vetting this whole procedure, and especially Annie Fox. So Chris, put that in Swarthmore in. Annie Fox, she's a Temple grad law student, and she did a lot of work on this. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Lauren. Anything else that you wanted to discuss this evening? No.
We're not meeting in December.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mike.
Yes, a little bit of a lengthy agenda here, so bear with me. Start with the financial report. Through November, pretty much as expected, not a whole lot to comment on. And essentially our cash balance is going to end the year, we're expecting, obviously there's still a few more days, but roughly about at our target, which is about $450,000. And that again is within the sort of best practices of 5 to 10% of revenue. So at the higher end of that. So things look pretty good, although obviously things can change over time. And the cash balance at the end of November, however, was $725,173. And that's really all I have in terms of the financial report, unless there's any questions.
I just wanted to make one note, and we noted this before, that we had this extraordinary permits and license fees. And
Yes.
so we should not in the future expect to have the same amount of money. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, that's why-
they're well managed, but
Yeah.
it's not going to come in.
Well, that's why you see the revenues for 2017 were 110% of budget, because we weren't expecting such a large, and Jane's budgeted accordingly for this year and the future, so yes, duly noted. Next, I'm going to move on to, if there's no other questions, to checks and wire. Remember, we did the bulk of the checks at the last meeting, but we still have wire transfers and a few checks and transactions to ratify. So I'm going to make a motion to approve wire transactions for November 2018 of $2,548.11, and transactions to ratify one $25,000 to the Delaware Valley Regional Finance Authority, then another one to the same entity for $23,000. They're both repayments of debt that we had discussed previously. And also $2,102 to MetLife for the 457B plan. And finally, $612.50 for Robert Scott for a special legal for the month of November. So I'd like to make a motion to approve those wire transactions and those transactions to ratify or checks.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, let's have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes.
So do we need a technical, just a verbal approval? Sorry to ask Jane's question for the budget.
Government approval.
That's okay. So there's not like a resolution or anything, it's just a.
Right.
Okay. We discussed it in length. Moving on to the next line item, which is the budget for 2019. I'm not going to discuss any further unless anyone has any questions, but I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget for 2019 as in front of you.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The budget is approved.
Okay. All right. Now moving on to the ordinance 1085, which is the tax and fee ordinance. Again, we discussed this previously in terms of taxes. The regular real estate taxes, they're going to be unchanged from last year. There is a rather significant sewer usage fee increase. It's just a pass-through that we don't have control over, which we discussed again. last meeting, so I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. But I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1085.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. The tax and fee ordinance for 2019 is approved.
Okay. Moving on, I'm going to, I think these, are these just in order? Mine's just as a dash, it doesn't have a number. Jane, is that right?
So you're
So it'd be 12, okay.
Yeah, I think they're on David's. Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
They're not, okay.
12 through 16,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-12, which is the authorization for Borough Tax Collector to collect the annual sanitary sewer usage fees.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. And the authorization has been approved.
Okay. So, sorry.
These are two separate
Yes,
resolutions.
so they're going to be 13 and 14? Okay, so even though it's only one last year, okay. So now we're going to move on to resolution, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-13, which is the actuarial development plan cost for the non-uniform pension plan of Swarthmore.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adopting resolution 2018-13, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Okay. Moving on, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-14, which is the same thing as the previous one, but for the police pension plan, the actuarial development plan cost for the borough.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adopting resolution 2018-14, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution 2018-14 is adopted.
Okay, 2 more to go. Moving on to I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-15, which is the recommendation that the Swarthmore Borough Pension Committee has made was there be no cost of living increase granted to pensioners receiving a pension from the Borough of Swarthmore for both the police and non-uniform police as of December 31st, 2018, as we discussed 2 weeks ago.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution 2018-15 is adopted.
Okay, and then finally, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-16, which is appointing our auditor, Barbicane Thornton and Company LLP.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution 2018-16 is adopted.
Okay, and the Finance Committee will not be meeting this month.
Thank you, Mike. Sarah, General Government.
Yes, I don't have anything to report considering the General Government Committee specifically, but I did want to take this time to just address something that happened in our community over the weekend, because it does have something to do with the committee in that way. And this is just about the letters that were circulated, that we found out that were circulated in our community that contain some hateful and some threatening content. This matter is now being handled by the police and by the community members and among them. But what I wanted to bring up is I think it's important to recognize that this happened here in Swarthmore and that members of our community may have experienced some fear and some distress by them. And in order to address this, I think that we should propose that we have some type of community forum. I'll just bring this up now. Community forum to bring everyone together to discuss their own experiences and learn about others and really talk about the seriousness of the current climate and how people have experienced hate in their own lives. And we can talk about how we as parents can address this issue with children and all of that. Now, what I was thinking about just in terms of as council, I was just thinking we can help organize this forum. I wouldn't necessarily think that any of us should lead it, but I'd like us, whoever wants to be involved in council to join and I think it's just something that needs to happen. So, and I'm willing to just get the ball rolling, and just if people would like, I'm going to reach out to some members of the community to see if they would like to participate. And if anyone wants to reach me about that, my email is on the website. And so please reach out to me. And I guess that's what I wanted to say. Does anybody have any questions about this Okay.
Yeah, I just have one comment. I know that the kids at least at the high school are aware of these letters and have taken screenshots of them and circulated them, so I think it's very good to address it. And probably the heads of the schools would be receptive to approach them.
Yeah, the schools would definitely be involved. And, right now, there's also probably tons of rumors flying around about that, so I didn't want to specifically address exactly that situation at the moment, but we can't also ignore it. And so I think this is a good way of handling it moving forward. Thank you. We're not meeting in December.
No meeting. And anything else?
No.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you very much. Betsy, planning and zoning?
Nothing to report, and we are not meeting in December.
Thank you, Betsy. Mary, public safety.
Thank you, David. We had a chance at the last meeting to look at the proposed annual contract between the borough and the Brandywine Veterinary Hospital to house lost pets. So I would like to make a motion to approve that contract for services with Brandywine Veterinary Hospital.
Second. Any further discussion of the contract? None? Let's have a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The contract is approved.
Thank you. Then the other thing for public safety is ratification of 2 agreements that the borough manager was kind enough to sign for us. One of them is the articles of agreement for this service that we're entering into to have a study done of the fire company. So one is this peer-to-peer technical assistant articles of agreement, and the second one is the scope of services. I don't know, I hope everybody had a chance to look at those, and if you have any questions about them, I can make a motion to ratify them, and then we can have a discussion. So I move to ratify the peer-to-peer technical assistance articles of agreement that, if I can understand her signature of the borough manager, was signed by the borough manager on December 10th, 2018. And then the peer consultant technical assistance scope of services also executed by the borough manager on December 10th, 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just that it's a good thing.
Thank you.
My sentiments exactly. All right, so let's have a vote. All in favor of ratifying the scope of services and articles of agreement for DCED Emergency Services Study, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and they are ratified.
Thank you. And I just wanted to give a quick report that Jane and I and Rick Lee from the fire company did have a conference call about 10 days ago, I think, with the people from the DCED and the consultant who will be doing this study for the borough and the fire company. And it was a good conversation, and the person who is going to do the consulting work really wanted to know what it was we were looking for. And after some discussion, we were frank in saying, we really need you to tell us what it is we're looking for. So they're going to start with the manpower and apparatus study. And then after that, we might be able to have a better handle on whether or not we would need to maybe recommend that the fire company merge with another one, but we don't know that yet. So I think the study will be very helpful in that regard. And we are not going to meet this month.
Thanks, Mary. Ross, Public Works.
We did meet this month, and the one item to report on, you already gave the praise for Dave Patterson, and just generally we appreciate everything that the Public Works staff do for us. And so we've been dealing with this issue that as part of the pedestrian project, we had these 3 intersections, the crossings put in, And one aspect, one physical aspect of those is the bump out of the curves. And so one unanticipated aspect of that bump out in just in one location at the intersection of Yale and Rutgers is that where the auto body shop is, it is impeding, the bump out is impeding the flow of the water down the street. And so we've had the engineer look at this, and we've been in discussions with the owner of 630 Yale, and the committee unanimously decided with the manager that we need to correct that bump out, and that we need to go ahead and do that this next year. And so the plan is to proceed with that, which probably would be a modification of that structure, that concrete island. I don't know if anybody else on the committee wants to comment.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that this isn't something that's new. How old is that island?
Oh, it is.
It is new. It was just that. It's just, oh, okay. Never mind.
So, and then there's also the issue, perhaps that you're referring to, Lauren, which is that there's historically water was collected in the intersection itself, and we'll be addressing that going forward. But the immediate decision was to correct the concrete line. So, is there any questions about that? No.
So how's it going to be corrected? I mean, or do we know yet?
We need to talk with the engineer more probably. We'll actually cut the front half of the island off, the part that's impeding the flow, and just finish that off there. Betsy?
Oh, I actually, since you were bringing up the crosswalk work that had been done, it's been brought to my attention, the other crosswalk on Yale, the one by the condos that the students use, the speed limit there is still 35 miles an hour. It doesn't change to 20 or 25 until you get farther up Yale. So we might want to look at altering the speed limit there, because people come, 35, 37, 38 miles an hour around that curve.
Yes.
And, I'm not sure they have time to spot the crosswalk. So we might want to lower the speed limit further down. Just bringing that up for consideration for next year.
Yeah, that would
Since
be
you
public
poked my
safety.
brain.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
that's public safety.
That would be public
Okay,
safety.
I'll put it in my notes then.
So if there are no further questions, we just wanted to report on that.
Okay, thank you, Ross.
Sure, and we will meet in January, the third Thursdays.
Is there any other council business at this time? If not, this will be by far the most enjoyable, but also bittersweet part of the evening. I see we have former council member and President David Grove in the audience, and I think we have Claudia Cueto out there in the public as well. Guess why? Our beloved Mayor Tim Carney is going on to bigger and I hope better things in Harrisburg. I just want to say real briefly, I've had the pleasure of being on council for the entire tenure of Tim as mayor. It's been 5 years, right, Tim? Yeah. And it's been really a lot of fun and very enjoyable and gratifying to work with Tim. I mean, this is someone who is incredibly community-minded, is always thinking of the borough first. He also is a bit of a cheerleader, which is a good thing, I think, in a mayor. We need a cheerleader. We need somebody to remind us not only how terrific we all are, because sometimes we might forget that, but also to call us to some higher aspirations as well. And one thing in particular that I think Tim was very effective at, and that is into making what is already I would say, walkable community even more pedestrian friendly than it was before he became mayor. And Tim put a lot of emphasis on that. We were just talking about these crosswalks, for example, and Tim's been a major force. And also things like the aging in place, which is part and parcel with that. I think the whole idea being Swarthmore already a wonderful place to live. We can make it even more livable, more walkable, more accessible than it is today. And so, I think Tim deserves a lot of thanks for that and for all the other things he's done as mayor of Swarthmore. So, without further ado, I have a couple things we want to give Tim as a token of our appreciation. One of them are some Marvel Adventures plates.
For your new caucus.
Yes, we thought you might appreciate that. But more importantly, and I'll come around for this, this wonderful book, which Jane found for us, Literature in Stone, the 100-year history of Pennsylvania's state capitol. How fitting for an architect, right? Because Pennsylvania's state capitol, like so many state capitals around the country, is really gorgeous. I mean, if you have not been inside that building, by the way, Tim,
Come visit.
yeah, his office is right in the building, and it is truly a beautiful building, and I think it's super fitting that an
I see my
architect...
window right there.
Is that if we'd known that, I would have drawn a little picture. A little round one right there. Wow, that's really beautiful. So Tim, on behalf of a grateful council, borough, and all of its employees, and all the citizens of Swarthmore, we want to thank you for a job exceedingly well done, and we wish you the best of luck going forward, and we hope to see a lot of you.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you, David, and thank you, David, and thanks to Ralph if you're watching on. It's been quite an adventure. You know, I decided to run for mayor, become mayor, because I was trying to make a difference in the town that I love so much. You're absolutely right about the pedestrian-friendly nature. That was kind of, for me, it was part and parcel of trying to bolster the idea of community in the borough. But what I wanted more than anything else was for people to get out of their houses, and people to get involved, and people to go to the farmer's market, and people to go to the the events that we're putting on. So it's been particularly gratifying for me, as an architect and somebody who sort of believes in these ideals about the way that we all kind of want to live, that we want to live our lives. So I recognize that I'm part of a continuum. We've had some wonderful mayors, Rick and Heck and Bill and Guy, and all the way back to Ed Jones too. That's still, people are still around and still part of the fabric of the borough. And I'm not going away. Our main office will be in Springfield, and I do have quite a beautiful office in the Capitol building, and happy to bring anybody come out and visit. And they tell me that as a senator, I can pretty much go anywhere I want in the building. So there's some. They want to get up inside the dome and some other things. And, do the kinds of things that architects like to do. I do have my letter of resignation that I wrote, which I will submit dutifully. I'm not going to read it because it says a lot of the similar sorts of things. But the last person I really want to thank, on the borough side, I can't stop thanking Claudia enough for all that stuff. But the last person I really want to thank is Jamie. I don't have the borough function without her. She's always been a great foil for discussion, she has a wonderful way of taking the opposite side of arguments for argument's sake. Things that kind of works out well. I have to admit, I'm saddened by the sort of the issue that happened this weekend with the letters. That's not the kind of community that I've been working towards. It's not the kind of community we want. We try very hard to be inclusive, to think that we're all stronger when we realize that we're kind of all in this together. And the kind of superficial sort of nonsense that these letters kind of represent is not who we are, and not what we aspire for our town. So I won't bore you anymore, but all I can say is thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And we are going to be adjourning into an executive session later this evening, but before that, and after we adjourn, our public session here will have a little celebration for Tim. So, all right. Thank you so much, Tim. Jane, do you have anything?
Thank you, Tim, for your kind words. Certainly miss foil as well.
I'll find somebody else.
Yes, I know you're right. Of course, Bob said to me, "Why are you not an attorney again?" I really have only one thing, which is I'm really happy to see that for right now, the recycling program, which I know is probably going to undergo major changes next year, has stabilized in a way that I think we were hoping, which is that people are using the recycling center. You can see that on the report. We're up, the paper is up at the recycling center 25%, and the other items that are taken there are up over 100%, and the curbside commingled is down. So just purely for our finances, that's the best way to go. We are making money on the paper, making money on the aluminum that's being taken. There are a lot of other issues out there with what's really happening with glass, what's really happening with plastic, and I think we'll continue to work on those issues next year. But it is nice to know that when you try and get the information out there, sometimes it works. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Bob?
Thank you. I just have one item for executive session. So.
Great, thanks. All right, so I would like to have a motion to adjourn into executive session in roughly 30, 40 minutes, something like that. To adjourn out of public session into executive session in 30 to 40 minutes or so. We have some litigation and personnel matters to discuss in executive session. So would someone care to make such a motion?
Here's a wellness day. It's goodies.
So moved.
Please.
We have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Adjourned.